Usually Mondays are just about the NFL, but again, another week, another college football major firing. We need the insight on Brian Kelly, dismissed yesterday in the fourth year of a 10-year contract at LSU after being dismantled by Texas A&M on Saturday night. Tigers have lost 2 straight, 3 out of 4. LSU may have to pay Kelly $54 million to not coach them through 2031. The buyout pieces are still being worked out, but the story remains Brian Kelly out at LSU. The man you want to hear from, of course, is Paul Finebaum. You have the coach on your show every single Monday, so you obviously know him well. Do you believe this was the right move that they made yesterday in Baton Rouge?
Absolutely. Greeny, not only did they lose on the field, he lost in the locker room. I don't think he had anybody believing him anymore, and he certainly didn't have anybody in the stands believing him because they were all gone by the end of the game. But the most important person that didn't believe in him, interestingly, wasn't his boss, but it was the governor of the state of Louisiana, who managed to get in the middle of this because they have an interim president. They had a meeting yesterday. He decided, the group of them decided Kelly had to go. $54 million is a lot of money. Interestingly, Greeny, Scott Woodward, who hired Kelly and allowed him to have that $54 million buyout, also hired Jimbo Fisher at Texas A&M, who got a $76 million buyout.
So he's about $120 million in arrears when it comes to hiring coaches, but that's a whole separate issue. All right, who do they circle? Who do they go after for what is certainly still one of the elite jobs in the country?
There's no doubt Lane Kiffin will be at the top of the list, and I know that sounds familiar. He's at the top of the Florida list and probably anybody else's list, but that's who he is, Greeny. He's a charismatic coach. He's colorful, and he's also an offensive genius, as we saw Saturday in Norman when Ole Miss beat Oklahoma in a mild upset. So will Kiffin leave is the question. His team has just about already stamped a playoff bid. That will be the question as we get closer to the end of the season.
Very quickly, because you know the dynamics so well, if he is offered both Florida and LSU and is willing to leave, which is the more desirable spot?
It's a close call, but in my mind, LSU is a better job. It just has a great infrastructure down there. As I say that, I realize that they fired the last 3 or 4 coaches. But I think Lane Kiffin fits that culture pretty well. He's familiar with it. He's also familiar with Florida, as we said last week. But I don't think there's any question that of the jobs opening, LSU is going to be the one that everybody wants.
It's fired, so every Monday we wind up talking about it. This week it's Brian Kelly, fired in the 4th season of a 10-year contract after being dismantled by Texas A&M on Saturday night. So he winds up losing his last 2 games and 3 of his last 4. They may still owe him $54 million. They're still negotiating that. But let's bring Josh Pate in to get to the bottom of all of this and help us make sense of this move. Let's start with this, Josh, because you forecast for us on Thursday when you were on here that this might be in the works, that we could be heading in this direction if Saturday night was bad, and it was really bad. Do you believe this was the right move for LSU?
I do, and you know me now well enough to know I'm normally the one pumping the brakes on this, especially when tens of millions of dollars are required for someone not to coach anymore. It was my opinion, Greeny, that Brian Kelly checked out on aspects of the LSU job a while ago. I'm not saying he was asleep at the wheel. What I'm saying is when it comes to critical infrastructure of a college football program, recruiting, portaling, talent acquisition, staffing decisions, a lot of that Brian Kelly was on a beach in Florida for. And so I looked at that and I think to myself, how many jobs are there better than LSU in college football? I can count on one hand and don't even need all 5 fingers. So you got to be all in if you got that job. It's a very desirable job. And I also think a generation ago, when Nick Saban took that job, he was an outsider. Saban had never coached in the South. He said "I" ate every other word. So even though he didn't talk Southern, it was just accepted. Well, that sounds right. He sounds like one of us. But he embraced what the L stood for in LSU. He leveraged and harnessed Louisiana in a way at that point that no one ever had. Well, then Les Miles did it, and he won a title. And Ed Orgeron did it, and he won a title. And Brian Kelly came down there and treated it as like the final rung on this personal ladder of his that he could climb up on, and he could grab a belt that he couldn't quite reach at Notre Dame. And he never embraced Louisiana, and now Louisiana's done with him.
The one thing that I will say, and Cindy, let's come over here to the jib very quickly. Rex there was one moment where he sort of tried to embrace Louisiana.
Oh, gosh. Josh, the very first time we saw Kelly speak publicly was at that basketball game when he brought in, I mean, historically bad thing, like to me, I thought he was done from that point. I thought everybody in that LSU community is like, this is a phony, man. Get him out of here. I don't know if you guys remember, but it was that family one or whatever.
Yeah, do the imitation.
Family or what. Like he trying to come in there, and I'm like, who? What? Like, number one, this is the worst hire in the history. Talk about a guy that doesn't fit in. You can get a guy from anywhere. But be yourself and come back in and say, look, I got to admit, I never had a crawfish in my life. You know, and jambalaya, what the hell is that? I don't know. But you'd be better off that way and being honest than trying to, hey, you know, like, embrace, I'm part of you guys. Oh, I'm in there with you. No, you're not there. Come on, alligator hunter. What the hell are you doing?
Are you throwing your name into the ring for the LSU job?
Hey, for $54 million, you're damn right I am.
There we go. That's what I wanted. That's all I needed.
Josh, all kidding aside, because it's hilarious, but is it actually also true?
That's true.
Was the fit just wrong from the very beginning?
Okay, I grew up in the Deep South, Greeny, so I'm telling you, we are very used to people coming down and reeking of advice given to them by consultants, probably all within a city block of where you sit right now. We're used to that, and that's kind of what it felt like when Brian came down there. But I was the one saying, hey, look, again, Nick Saban was not from the South. Is Brian Kelly going to do what Nick Saban did? Is he going to leverage Louisiana? He didn't do that. That's what made him not a fit. Because look, as much as Rex is dead on the money and how cringe that was when he did it, as much as that's correct, they would have bit the bullet on that. Like, they would have gone, oh, okay, but we're 11-1. We're headed to the playoffs.
Give me a name who, right now, dream coach. If they could get anyone on planet Earth and you think it would be the perfect fit, who would it be?
I'm telling you, if I'm running the search at LSU, I'm making Marcus Freeman tell me no.
You want this, you got that. No way, watch him walk right past you. Run fast while you have the chance. Don't speak, let him